All right, it's time to talk about our hormones in the human body. Now, first we're going to talk about the hypothalamus, of course, because it is part of our endocrine system. It's also part of our nervous system, so it sort of links the two. Now, the hypothalamus is going to secrete releasing signals that target the anterior pituitary gland, which will then release some more hormones. So let's talk about the hormones that are released by the anterior pituitary gland first.
Well, I'm talking about the human growth hormone, which is basically the hormone that targets it controls the growth of the body and targets the bone and the tissue.
So the thyroid stimulating hormone, it controls the secretion of hormones by the thyroid gland and targets the thyroid gland as well.
I will be talking about the adrenocorticotropic hormone, also known as ACTH, and it controls the hormones by the adrenal cortex and also controls the outer portion of the adrenal gland. So this is PRO. It stimulates the production of milk in the mammary glands, and it's targeted by the mammary glands.
I have FSH hormone, which is in males and females is different. In males, it's the production of sperm, and females is periods.
Okay, so this is luteinizing hormone, and it's also called LH, and the response depends on the sex. So in females, it causes ovulation, and in males, it causes the secretion of testosterone, and it happens in the ovaries and testes.
Okay, so then we have the posterior pituitary gland, which is located behind the anterior pituitary gland, as the name would indicate. Now, the posterior pituitary gland doesn't actually create any hormones. It's just going to store hormones secreted by the hypothalamus until the body is ready for them. And so let's talk about those hormones.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Deej. This is ADH, and it's when the kidneys release water back into the bloodstream so it could reabsorb the water.
So I have oxytocin, and oxytocin targets uterine smooth muscles and breasts, and also causes uterine muscle contraction and milk production.
Now, the thyroid gland is located behind the larynx and the trachea, so like this area, and it's going to secrete a few different hormones. There's also the parathyroid glands, which are composed of several smaller glands that'll secrete a few different hormones. So let's talk about those.
Okay, so mine is T4 and T3, and it increases basal metabolic rate by stimulating cellular oxygen to produce ATP, and it regulates metabolism. So I got calcitonin, and it's released when triggered by an increase in blood calcium levels. It targets bone cells and kidney tubules, and therefore it causes a decrease in blood calcium and phosphate levels normal.
Well, I ran out of students to help me with this next part, so let's just go through the rest of the different glands in the body and the hormones that are produced there. So next one we're looking at is our adrenal glands, our adrenal glands. So these are atop the kidneys. This includes the adrenal medulla and the adrenal cortex. Now the adrenal medulla is going to produce epinephrine and norepinephrine, which are closely linked, and they'll work to raise blood glucose level and increase metabolic activity, constrict or dilate blood vessels. So these are very helpful in our fight or flight responses. We also have our adrenal cortex, which is going to produce different hormones that are like our glucocorticoids, and they're going to raise blood glucose levels as well and promote absorption of sodium and potassium into kidneys. So in our ovaries, we have our estrogens in females, which is going to stimulate uterine lining growth and promote development and maintenance of secondary sex characteristics. And we also have progesterone, which is going to promote our uterine lining growth as well. In the testes in the males, we have our androgens, which are going to support formation and promote development and maintenance of male secondary sex characteristics. Both of these estrogens, progesterones, and androgens are all found both in males and females, but they have a major role in one of the sexes. And finally, we have our pancreas, which we talked about in our previous video. Insulin is secreted by the pancreas, and it's going to lower our blood glucose level. And then we also have glucogen, which is going to raise our blood glucose level as well. All right, if you didn't get those, feel free to work with the chart that I gave you earlier. And that is it for our major hormones and glands of the human body.